Hello and welcome back to the movies made us do it. Me and Matt are back. How are you, Matt?
I am pretty damn good, sir. How about you?
I'm all right. Yeah, doing all right. Really enjoyed our messy recap.
Yeah, it was very nice.
I haven't actually listened to it back yet, but I imagine we were trying to go through it. I was like, oh god, it's just driving, and I can't think of the sequence of events.
Yeah.
But it was a good excuse to rewatch Smokey and the Bandit, which I absolutely love. Great fun, and I actually really want to watch the sequel now because I haven't seen that for a long time.
We didn't mention it at the time, but that movie's now 45 years. Is it 45 years old? No,
That's why we were doing it. It was the anniversary, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't mention it, but yeah.
Yeah. But here we are again, and we're back to our regular review fare. Only a couple of movies, but a lot of TV.
Yes.
So yeah. So do you want to kick things off?
Okay, I will. I will start with Vampire in the Garden.
Oh, you're starting off with the TV show Vampire in the Garden. So this is a Netflix animation.
Yes, it's a Netflix anime. It's 5 episodes of about 25-minute length.
Okay.
So we are introduced to this world where vampires and humans have been fighting. There's a big war going on, and the majority of the humans survive in this sort of last city, which has a very Soviet look about it. It's very Russian.
Right.
And it's a sort of big towering sort of industrial-looking city with these great big ultraviolet searchlights all around it to keep the vampires out, sort of thing.
Sure.
And then
like constant daylight.
Well, kind of, I guess. It just looks like the searchlights sort of
sure
ringing the city. And the other side, you've got basically the vampires living in their like luxury sort of houses and homes. And
as vampires do, yes.
Yeah.
Traditionally.
So
yeah.
You're introduced to Momo, who is she's the daughter of the leader of the humans, and she when you first meet her, she's in this sort of squad that are hunting vampires, and they come across this sort of like a vampire family, and there's a little vampire girl, and the little vampire girl has a music box, and Momo can't kill her. She doesn't kill this little girl, and basically her direct superior comes in and basically does
the job.
Admonishes her for not doing her job, and it's like, but it was a kid. It's like, yeah, but they're vampires. It's like that. It doesn't matter. And she's enchanted by the music box. So the thing that they establish is that in the human civilization, all things kind of like joyful, like music and dancing and stuff like that, is banned because that's vampire stuff.
Okay. So it's also 1984.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Uh-huh.
So
or Equilibrium, if you want to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the obviously the vampires, they've got like shindigs and dancing.
Fahrenheit, I suppose. More like Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly that, because there's a bit where she's working on like a conveyor line where they're literally destroying instruments.
Okay, yeah, so very, very
and things, and she
Fahrenheit.
and her friend sort of takes the music box for her and gives it to her.
Uh-huh.
So on the opposite side, we're introduced to a character called, now it's spelt Fine, but they call her Fine.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's Fine. Now she is basically the sort of queen of the vampires, but she's completely disenchanted with her life, and she's refusing blood. She's not drinking blood anymore, and she feels like she feels like she's kind of had enough of it all, and they sort of, her and Momo, they cross sort of paths. Momo escapes from her mother with this music box, and she goes outside, and Fine comes across her, and Momo looks like Fine's lost love,
Okay.
and she sees her, and what then basically happens is it's like they come together, and Fine, Momo wants to do is kind of learn to play like a musical instrument or something, and she wants to, she wants to sing, and well, not sing, but she wants to play music, and she wants to, enjoy those sorts of things, and they've heard about a place where vampires and humans live together in harmony.
Right.
So they kind of go on the run from their own people to find this possibly mythical place where vampires and humans live in harmony.
Sure.
And you've got there's a
Sounds like a vampire trap, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I couldn't possibly say, but yes. So you've got other characters like
but then equally it sounds like they're in a living hell anyway. So
yeah,
neither way ends well, does it?
Yeah.
I guess it's worth a punt.
So there's Momo's mother sends her her uncle to find her, and he's this sort of like the usual sort of tough, scarred sort of veteran type who's got his little band of vampire killers that they go around sort of hunting down vampires, and he's got these he's there sort of trying to find Momo, and they've got this group of guys who have got mech suits, which are really cool. That
nice.
More like landmates than sort of mech suits, I guess you would say, but sort of smaller versions, and they're sort of with them, and he's got his own ideas of how they should be running things, and
right
on the other side you've got Fine has this I can't remember what he's called. He's quite cool though. It's like her. I'm not sure if it's a guy who wants to be her lover or whether he's a brother. I can't remember what his relationship to her is, but he's trying to get Fine to drink blood again. He's charged by the vampire sort of council, as it were, to track her down and bring her back so that she can rule them again, sort of thing.
Okay.
So you get this sort of cross country adventure. I love the characters. I love the animation style. I think that there's some really beautiful things. I love the vampire designs. They sort of fly around with sort of like bat wings and stuff, and they all have white hair and these these really cool sort of look about them. Really cool designs. Annoyingly, I think the fact that it's only 5 episodes really reduces the time that you get to develop the world and develop the characters.
Right.
There were some really nice moments where they go to this city where vampires and humans, they're not living together, but they're living in opposite sides of one city. There's like a river between them, and humans are living on one side and vampires are living on the other, and they kind of coexist together in certain ways.
Right. Okay.
But they don't explore it enough. They don't. It's like they just go through it, and a thing happens there. I'm not going to going into any spoilers or anything.
No.
But I'd like to have seen how this town works. I'd like to have had a little more character interactions between the people that were there.
Yeah.
The character of Momo and Fine they're both quite good characters, but again, it would have been nicer to explore their characters a little more. I think it needed at least, I don't know, 3 or 4 more episodes. I think just to sort of flesh out the world a little more and to make it more interesting. I think that they try and do quite a lot with what they have, and I don't know whether they were given only a certain amount of episodes or what, but
Yeah.
it seems a real shame that they didn't have a little bit more, because it definitely needed more to to flesh everything out. I think the story itself, it's not anything new or it's
Nothing particularly groundbreaking.
no, but it follows interesting beats, and it had potential to be more, but because of its limited time,
Sure.
it does. Again, like I said, it doesn't flesh it out enough. Although I really enjoyed it, and I think I would recommend it because it's such a short. It's only like overall 2.5 hours of your time, really. And it's nice enough, and it ends quite well. I quite like the ending. It was a nice ending.
Okay.
The vampires have this cool thing that it's this injection that they can give themselves, which ubers up their powers and makes them these like hulking, weird looking monsters.
Okay.
But it kills them. It burns them out.
Oh, okay. So it's like a last ditch kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a sort of there are these lovely little bits in it that you just I'd love to have had a bit more with that. I'd love to have seen a little more of that.
Sure.
The sort of the journey itself when trying to get to this place, they cover quite a lot of space in like an episode, and you think these are all things that they could have had little bits of, like I don't know, like I guess the biggest travel thing is Lord of the Rings, isn't it? They're going from one.
Sure. Yeah.
But there's lots of they encounter lots of things along the way. There's lots of things, and those each one of those encounters is pretty rich. You learn a lot of those, a lot of things from those encounters, and I think this could have been a genuine corker of a series if it would have just had a little bit more time to brew. But I would honestly say go for it if you want a nice little vampire tale. With some
I mean, I like the animation style.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Cool.
It does have that anime trope of sometimes the backgrounds don't move.
Sure.
When you have scenes where people are singing and playing instruments, but no one's moving, and you think, okay, that's a bit weird. But
I mean, I'm used to that. The old style anime, especially TV stuff. There's a lot of that.
But part of you thinks surely they don't need to do that anymore. They can.
Maybe it's a stylistic choice at this point. I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe I'm giving them too much credit in saying.
I guess
that.
I didn't consider that, but yeah, I would recommend it as like it's a nice little sort of little tale that isn't gonna sort of shake you up or anything, but it was enjoyable enough. I did enjoy it.
Ah, cool. So that was Vampire in the Garden. So my one movie this week, I took my dad to see Top Gun Maverick.
I am hearing very good things,
and for very good reason. So
I mean, it's just past is it 100 million?
Yeah, it's done very well. Yeah,
so,
and I'm glad. So the morning of Saturday morning, I watched Top Gun. So I haven't watched Top Gun for a while. I thought I'd watch Top Gun, and then midday, 12:30, we went to see.
I think digital sales of Top Gun have skyrocketed as well. So
I do own it. I didn't give them.
No, I know. I think I'm just saying, like
I imagine
everybody's cramming before they go to see it. I think.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's not a film that I watch. I know I've got a club night named after it. I don't watch Top Gun very often. Every couple of years I'll be like, I fancy watching.
I haven't seen it for ages. I haven't seen it for a number.
So it was worth a rewatch, and then of course I went into Top Gun Maverick around midday, and so obviously we're continuing with the character of Maverick. Obviously picks up 30 years after the first film ended, and Maverick is now a test pilot. He's testing something called I think it's called the Dark Star. Is this top secret jet that's supposed to be able to reach Mach 10. And on the day of their test, they're told by a general that they're getting shut down. And apparently this general is all about drones. And it was funny. We were walking to the cinema, and my dad we were talking about what we were expecting from the film, and I said, well, they have to address drones. They can't not address drones.
I think it was always going to be about drones.
Well, it's not really about drones.
I mean, it was going to be a plot point. It was going to be,
So they did, because I was kind of speculating that maybe they'll make the whole movie about drones or like the threat of drones replacing people, and they kind of only touch on it right at the start, and then they move on very quickly. But it's kind of brought up a couple of times. But so basically, this general, played by Ed Harris, he's all about the drones, and so he cancels their funding. And he says they're shutting the project down because he wants to fund their drone program instead. But Maverick's like, well, Maverick's Maverick. He's like, hey, he's not here yet. Let's start ahead of schedule. So he takes off. And Ed Harris turns up, and they're like, oh, you're early. And he's like, yes, and so are you. Why are you flying? You're not supposed to be flying. But of course, the plane reaches Mach 10. He manages to get to Mach 10, proving Ed Harris's general wrong. Everyone cheers, but then Maverick, being Maverick, decides he's going to push it a little bit further.
Of course he is.
And ends up wrecking the plane.
Right.
So he is then sent back to Top Gun to be an instructor. He is told to do this by Iceman, who... Basically, it turns out that in the intervening years, obviously by the end of Top Gun, Iceman and Maverick have become friends. They made peace. They were great. Following that, we get the impression that they've become very good friends, like the best of friends. And Maverick has basically refused every promotion and kind of dodged every promotion to stay in the cockpit. That's what he wants to do. He's a captain. And Ed Harris's character is even like, you should be like a 4-star general by now. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, but Maverick just wants to fly, whereas Iceman went the career route. He went the other route. So he is like, I don't even know what he is. I think he's like commander of the fleet, the Pacific Fleet or something. Like, he's like top brass, right? So he keeps covering for Maverick. So every time Maverick screws up, Iceman's the one that's like, nah, you're not sacking him.
You're not canning him.
He's staying around. So anyway, he's sent to Top Gun. He doesn't know why. And he gets to Top Gun. Obviously, he knows that Iceman sent him and saved his career. But once he gets there, he's told very quickly by I forget his name in the movie, but it's John Hamm's character. He's told by him that he doesn't want him here. He's like, you're a fucking screw up. You were not my first pick. We were told by Iceman, and he even says like, I really respect Iceman.
Admiral Simpson, apparently.
Sorry?
Admiral Simpson.
That's right, Rear Admiral.
Cyclone Simpson.
Sorry, Vice Admiral Cyclone Simpson. So he's called Cyclone. He graduated from Top Gun like 2 years after Maverick, and he was like first in his class, like Iceman. And he says, I've got a lot of respect for Iceman. I don't know what he sees in you. But they have this conversation. So he's not just been brought back to train. The reason he's been brought back is that he has more experience downing enemy fighters, because he's the only person in the last 30 years, alongside, I guess, Iceman, who has actually gone up against other jets and dogfought and downed jets. So he has the most real world experience out of anyone in the Navy to kind of train these train these Top Gun pilots. And the mission that they've got to do is basically, there's a uranium enrichment facility somewhere that's not Russia. It's a snowy place that's not Russia. I think they call it like the enemy territory or rogue nation. I think that's all they say.
Russia-stan.
Yeah, they don't say anything. But then I think they did the same in Top Gun. They never say the country.
I don't think they needed to, did they really?
Well, they were flying MiGs, so it's like, well, they're flying MiGs. That definitely puts it somewhere over that side of.
They exported to a lot of countries, so
yeah, that's true. But anyway, so it's basically they've got to this uranium enrichment facility is going to go online in the next, I think it's like 20 or 30 days. They got about a month.
Yeah.
And it's covered in SAM sites, right? And the only way to get to it is like a Death Star style canyon. It's a canyon run.
Yeah.
Where they would basically, John Hamm's character is like, as far as he's concerned, this is kind of the crux of the movie. As far as he's concerned, at first, he's like, look, these are the best pilots in the world, and they've got to do a job. They've got to go and bomb this uranium enrichment facility. Some of them, maybe all of them, are not coming back. They're going to fucking die. Whereas Maverick is like, oh, no, I'm bringing them back. Like, we're going to find a way to do this and have them survive.
Yeah.
So Maverick, obviously known for throwing out the rule book, immediately throws out the rule book, and it's like, well, they're going to be flying it like, 400 feet above ground level, and they're like, well, no, that's way below the guidelines, the rules. You can't go that low. And he's like, well, we're going to have to. And this is where you get that argument where John Hamm's character's like, some of them are going to die, and Maverick's like, no, they're not. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna find a way of doing it. So he meets his new group of cadets. We get a really fun kind of moment in a bar when they don't realize it's him, reflecting Top Gun. Yeah. Where he meets Charlie but doesn't realize that she's going to be the civilian liaison or contractor. Yeah. So they have a funny moment like that, and he realizes, or he's told that Goose's son is in Top Gun, and he's going to be part of the squadron.
Isn't it?
Miles Teller, who is the spitting image of Goose in this movie, and is fantastic. His performance is great.
Teller's a great actor.
He is a great actor. He's just been in some shit films, but he's a great actor.
Yes.
It's like
I mean, theoretically, Fantastic Four could have made his career.
Yes.
If it hadn't been a huge pile of crap.
Yeah, absolutely. But his performance in it is fine. It's a terrible film, but his performance is fine. Yeah. So there's a wonderful moment actually where I really liked when Maverick's thrown out of the bar. So he meets Jennifer Connelly, who is an old flame of his. They dated once, but I think because Tom got moved, because Maverick got moved somewhere else, they lost touch or whatever. And she's kind of like, well, you'll never commit because you're always getting kicked out of one place and moved to another and whatever. She runs this bar, and he basically makes the mistake of, I think, hitting on her, and the rule is that if you hit on the barmaid, then you pay for everyone's round in the bar, and they have this whole thing, and then he ends up messing up again and he gets kicked out. The pilots pick him up and throw him out, and he's kind of laughing about it, but then he sees Goose's son, who's called Rooster in the movie. And there's a wonderful scene where Rooster's actually, he goes on the piano and he starts playing Great Balls of Fire, and Maverick's just stood outside, and he's just looking in the window, and he just looks destroyed. He's like, because he remembers him and Goose playing that same song on the piano. He's getting flashbacks to what happened there, and it turns out that Rooster really fucking hates Maverick because he pulled his application and set him back 4 years. He set his career back 4 years by pulling his papers. Now, unbeknownst to Rooster, he pulled his papers because his mum begged him to pull his papers. His mum didn't want him to fly, and that's why. But he doesn't know this. So anyway, I won't go into spoilers, but Maverick obviously is like teaching them this insane piloting, breaking all the rules. John Hamm's character can't stand him. He's like furious about the whole idea. And then ultimately, they have to fly this mission. And Maverick's about the only person who has actually proven that he can fly this mission.
Yeah.
Through this course, because at one point, John Hamm's character kicks him off the instruction. It kicked him out as an instructor, and says he's going to do it, and then Maverick basically just takes a jet and proves that it's doable. So they're like, well, against my best judgment, you're the only person who can seemingly fly this, so you're going to captain this mission. You're going to be in charge of the mission, flying, with the squad. And off they go. This film, and I posted on social media. I said, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but Top Gun Maverick is a better film than Top Gun. And I was quite surprised. I had quite a few comments of people saying, no, it is. Like, yeah, I've heard that a lot.
That's what I've heard as well.
So I think it is. I mean, it's kind of, I don't want to say it's a remake. It goes over similar beats, for sure, but it does them better. One of the big ones, one of the big improvements for me, I think, was the romance between Tom Cruise and Jennifer's character, Penny. So between Maverick and Penny, that is a much better relationship than in Top Gun with Charlie and Maverick, which is bullshit.
I mean, the relationship in
she fucking hates him, and then in the next scene she's like, I love you. It's like, what?
Yeah,
okay, I missed like an hour here or something.
So tacked on, it's terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. Whereas here it's still kind of tacked on. It's not the point of the film, but we establish they used to be in love, right? And so they've already got that connection. They've got chemistry as well. Like Tom Cruise and Jennifer Connelly actually have chemistry together. It works well. And because they've already established that, it's not like they've just met and she hates him and then, there's none of that. So I think it handles that a lot better.
Having said that, I find it hard that anybody would have bad chemistry with Jennifer Connelly, but there you go.
That's a fair point. But the other thing, I think the story is fine. I think the story's great. It's a Top Gun movie. It's silly. It's got silly moments. It's not the Shawshank Redemption.
It's good. Right. I don't think you go into Top Gun expecting Shakespeare.
No. One of the other things which you've probably seen all over the place, all over YouTube, all over the adverts, is the practical nature of this film. They put the pilots in fighter jets, and Top Gun pilots flew them, as I understand. But the cast directed themselves and acted out the scenes whilst basically doing most of what you see in the film.
Yeah.
Obviously,
and I think that's the big draw for a lot of people.
Well, I can tell you honestly. For one thing, it makes everything very realistic feeling when they're in the plane. I mean, like, it's crazy. There are scenes because basically when they have to attack this site, on the way back out, they have to pull up what is basically a mountain. They have to, like, very quickly pass this mountain. So they have to pull up and it ridiculous, like 9Gs or something, get out. Now, I don't know if the pilots were actually pulling 9Gs when they did this, but there are scenes in this film where you can see the G-force on the actors' faces. Like, it is real, and they are really struggling with the force of the G's they get as they're going through these maneuvers. Really adds to the realism. And I will say, I turned to my dad after the movie was over, and I said, like, honestly, I can't think of another movie, certainly in terms of like flying. I was so tense during the flight sequences at the end. That mission, I was so tense the entire time. It was incredible. It looked real. It looked fantastic, and it was really tense. I think they set it up to where it's like, people might well die on this mission. And I certainly, going into that final bit, I was like, hey, anyone could possibly die here. And going in with that kind of tension added to it, the realism added to it. But I was on the edge of my seat for the end of the movie. Now, I will say, without spoilers, it does, in my opinion, slightly jump the shark towards the end. I won't say what happens. I liked it, though. It's, I didn't expect it. It's like you think the movie's done, and then there's a bit more. And it's like, I wasn't expecting this movie to turn up during this movie, but here we are. And it's a bit weird, but it works, right? It works. Yeah. And the point is, I think by that point, the film I'd had such goodwill towards this film that I was
Yeah.
like, fine, and it works. It's a Top Gun movie. Like I said, it's
that's the
silly.
thing. I think when a movie pulls something weird, but it feels like it's earned it, you're
And it really does.
You can be more forgiving.
Absolutely.
A movie that kind of earns, if it.
And it doesn't even mess up. It's just, it's a bit silly, but it's like, well, it is Top Gun,
Yeah.
One of the other things I will say, and it's very rare that anyone, other than his acting and action movie status, it's very rare that you can say positive things about Tom Cruise. But as I understand it, he fought the studio to have Val Kilmer appear in this film.
Yeah,
he demanded it. And do you know what? The way they handle Iceman in this film, the fact that they give him the problems that Val Kilmer has in his real life, and the way they give that character a send off is phenomenal. It's great. It's really emotional. It was actually really, a really well acted scene by both Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer. Fantastic. And this film really is we're so cynical of the 30 years later we're going to do a sequel to a beloved cult classic or a beloved movie. This is how you do it. This film doesn't make fun of Top Gun. It doesn't belittle Maverick. It doesn't it's not a parody. It is a love letter to the original film.
Isn't it funny though how the ones that seem to work, the sequels that seem to work, all do the same thing with their original movie? They don't treat it like it's a joke. They don't treat the characters like they're fucking idiots, or try and change their personalities in fundamental ways.
No, and I mean, it is, yeah, you're right, and now I will say that I could nitpick the shit out of this movie. I'm not gonna. I mean, certainly one of the things that stood out to me was Miles Teller.
Yeah,
because I'm like the kid in Top Gun is about 5-6 years old. I'm like, that was 30 years ago.
Yeah,
like how old is he meant to be now? Like, do you know what I mean? There's like the age thing's a bit questionable in places,
right? Yeah.
But I guess maybe he's like mid-30s then. Maybe I don't know, like pilot ages and stuff. But it seemed like not quite sure that how that kind of evens out. There are a few things where you could be like, but
Teller was born in 87, so
right.
When did Top Gun come out?
Before.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
86. Oh, only a year.
Only a year before. But then he is 5 in Top Gun.
Yeah.
So at least he's walking around, right? In
Top
Gun, so.
I think so.
So it's a little questionable, but again, nitpicking, and also like I mean, I don't know that there are many people of the age of Tom Cruise still flying fighter jets, but
I doubt it.
I mean, Tom Cruise does have that ability. I mean, he does still look pretty fucking good for his age, so I guess they could just about pull it off now.
Does have a fucking portrait somewhere, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so overall, and you have to go in on the understanding that this is a Top Gun sequel. You're not gonna get, I don't know, Flight of the Intruder or something. It's Top Gun. But that, given that, this film just hits out of the park. It really does. It's a fantastic sequel. I think it's better than the original. Personally, I think it's a better film than the original.
The thing, this is all making me want to actually go and see it. I wasn't going to see it in the cinema.
Someone commented on my post saying, "I don't really like Top Gun, and I went in kind of not wanting to like this, but I love it." I was like, oh. It's just a really good movie. Like it's a solid action flick with some of the. I mean, I shudder to think. I mean, the budget was only like 170 million, and considering, I mean, I know the Navy. I know the Navy do see this stuff as like basically an ad campaign for them.
Yeah,
so they probably did a lot for free.
I'm guessing they were on board.
Well, I think the Top Gun pilots were doing a lot of the maneuvers in the
exactly. Yeah, so they were probably well on board for it. It's a fucking perfect advertisement for
and it really works. I mean, those in cockpit shots just separate this film from any other flight, combat film I've ever seen. It's breathtaking in places. And the fact that they've done so much practical, and obviously they have fucking shooting missiles at things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But where possible, there is real flight. I mean, there's a scene at the start of the movie when this Dark Star jet takes off, and it takes off as Ed Harris's general turns up, and it takes the roof off the guard tower. There's like a guard, not guard tower, like a guard building at the front of the base. It rips the roof off the thing, and I got a laugh at that in the cinema. And then I watched a YouTube documentary later, and it turns out it was not intended. The plane they used. Now I'm assuming it wasn't this Dark Star jet because I think it's a made up jet. But whatever they used to do that shot ripped the top off the prop. It ripped the building apart, and they were like, "Well, one take, done. We're keeping it."
Yeah,
that happened.
Happy accidents.
Happy accidents, but it feels real. There's a shot in this film where a rooster slips out of his fucking harness. His harness wasn't strapped in tight enough, so he kind of hits the canopy, kind of like falls a little as they do a maneuver. And the director was like, "Well, he should have had it tighter, and normally you'd reshoot that, but we thought it looks real. Leave it in." And it does, it really does. A lot of this film really does feel those cockpit shots are intense, and it really paid off. So
again, there's just something to be said for realism in a movie.
Yeah, there is, especially these days. It's like these days we're so used to just seeing CGI crap that it's like, wow.
I mean, that's it, and everything. There's such a push to get movies done on these, 360 screens now, where everything is not there. There's nothing there but those screens.
Yeah.
And it works. I think it works fine for certain things. Things like The Mandalorian prove that it looks pretty good. It can look really well. But you need a lot.
And I think actors prefer it to the alternative, which is fucking green screen. So, at least they've got something to work with.
Yeah, but there is something to say for practical effects and practical, real planes and real.
Well, this movie proves that. I have not seen, and please, if anyone knows of anything, chuck it in the comments, because I don't know of a film that has this kind of tense flight sequences. It's amazing, and it makes it stand out from any kind of jet movie I've seen before. It's fantastic, really good.
Let's hope that again it's going to be one of those things where they learn the wrong. The film company will learn the wrong thing from this, and they will start chucking out sequels to old properties.
Well, they probably will, but they'd have to find one they haven't trashed already. I mean, what ones are you going to do? I mean, most of the ones from the 80s are done. Red Dawn, RoboCop, Total Recall. They've all been remade and trashed, so
they can bring back, I suppose.
I'm trying to think what they can do. Roadhouse, had they made that Roadhouse remake yet? They were going to do that with Ronda Rousey, weren't they? I don't know if they ever did.
They were. I don't think they did. No.
So maybe Roadhouse is one they can do.
Yeah.
Or Under Siege.
Under Siege, Jesus. Yeah, let's bring Steven Seagal back.
Oh, bring him back! Yes, let's have today's Steven Seagal.
Oh man,
yeah, I'm all for that.
Yeah, no, I'm
not. But yeah, so Top Gun Maverick honestly gets top marks from me. Like I said, it's a Top Gun movie. You need to go in on the understanding you're watching a Top Gun movie. You're not going to see something that's amazingly well written. It's a very basic premise, well told. It's a lot of fun. It's very tense action movie. It's great. Loved it. So, what else have you watched?
So, I also watched Senior Year.
Now, I saw the trailer for Senior Year. Or the clip that they put on Netflix, and I actually thought it was very funny. So I'm curious to see what you made of this, because I may well watch it.
Yeah, so this is a Netflix comedy starring Rebel Wilson, and Angourie Rice, Mary Holland, Sam Richardson, and Justin Hartley. So uh, basically, you are introduced to Stephanie Conway, who is an Australian girl who's moved to America, and in the 90s, and she has um, first of all, she doesn't fit in, and she's not popular, and she's got two friends, but she sort of makes a vow that she's gonna be popular, and she's gonna be the head cheerleader, and she manages it in a sort of over a period of a couple of years, I think it is. She becomes head cheerleader, and she's got the big the big jock boyfriend and all
Sure.
that all that sort of stuff, and it's a couple of months till the end to graduation, and prom's coming up, and they're doing a routine, and her rival, Martha, basically gets some of the other cheerleaders to not catch her. Basically, she gets thrown up in the air, and these two characters push the guy who's supposed to catch her out of the way, and she falls.
Right. I'm pretty sure you. How old are they? They will probably do jail time for that.
I think.
I mean, it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing nobody noticed that they pushed them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like some pretty serious thing you've done there.
Yeah. So basically, she ends up in a coma, and she wakes up 20 years later. And
now, isn't it like the day before the prom or something? Is that right?
It's almost exactly the same sort of period of time.
Yeah.
That would have gone on for the prom sort of thing. So she wakes up in, I guess, the same month that she would have.
Yeah.
Gone off in, sort of thing, as it were. And she wakes up. She's initially played by Angourie Rice, and then she who was great in The Good Guys, the Russell Crowe Ryan Gosling movie.
Oh yeah.
Really cool Shane Black movie.
Mm-hmm.
She was fantastic in that. So she's initially played by her, and then Rebel Wilson now, as it were. Rebel Wilson, there's a TV on playing in her hospital room, and it's her ex-boyfriend, now grown up, selling cars.
Right.
And he's saying, "Hey, why don't you buy this car?" So they get this car. Are you ready for prom? Sort of thing. And that sort of wakes up in her brain, and she wakes up and says, "I'm ready for prom."
Right. So that's the thing that yeah.
Yeah. So she goes to the nurse's station, and she doesn't realise that 20 years has passed, and she sees herself in the mirror, and obviously she doesn't think it's herself. She thinks it's somebody else, some old lady. And then she obviously passes out.
Mm-hmm.
She's then picked up by her father and her best friend. Her father, played by Chris Parnell, and her best friend, who's now the principal of the school that they went to.
Right.
And from there, basically, she she's learning things. There's quite a good one where I like where the dad didn't cancel any of her magazines, so he's got this.
He's got a stack of magazines.
Yeah, and she picks up one of the magazines, and it's like, "Why is Madonna calling herself Lady Gaga now?" And no, that's not Madonna. That's somebody else. And there's like little jokes like that. And she decides that she is going to go back to school and get popular again, and do all the things that she wanted to do when she was. She doesn't quite get how everything works yet, but she's sure that being popular is still. She's seen that these kids seem to be doing stuff with their phones and popularity is still a thing, clearly. So she's going to go back to school. And the her friend initially is like, no, you can't do that. It's ridiculous. It's like
you're like 40. What are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. But she says, well, you were only a couple of months off of graduating, so I guess you can come back just to do those months so that you graduate.
I mean,
no, it's ridiculous
for the sake of narrative. Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, like none of
ridiculous.
the textbooks you read would be relevant. None of the but fine, whatever. We want a film or not?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is one of those movies where you go, just go with it.
It's a fun premise. Why not?
No fucking way any of this shit makes sense or is gonna really, happen. It's all crap. But there's some really good jokes on how popularity works in the modern world and how it used to work. And I love when she goes to be the head cheerleader again. She goes to the cheerleaders, and the principal is now the sort of the head, the person in charge of the cheerleaders. And she's like, okay, which one of you is chair captain? And the first person goes, I'm chair captain. And then the other person says, I'm chair captain. And he goes, I'm chair captain. We're all chair captains.
Oh,
like, what the no. You can't all be the cheer captain. That's just not. Well, no, we don't want any conflicts and things, and we thought it's easier this way.
Welcome to 2022.
Exactly. And there's things like, she wants to, hey, who's voting for prom king and queen? They said, oh, well, you see, now that we decided that again, that causes unnecessary conflict and things. So we actually got rid of prom king and queen. That doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, what the fuck? Why is this? How is this happening? I don't understand. So there was like loads of little sort of jokes on how that sort of works. And you know what? This movie, it's rubbish. It really, it's just.
But it's the right kind of.
But
rubbish.
It's so fun. It is genuinely funny, and it's just the right amount of rubbish that it works, and it is really enjoyable. Rebel Wilson is really smart and charming as this, 17-year-old walking around in a 4-year-old woman's body.
Definitely takes the right kind of actor to pull that off. Actually,
yeah, and I think she's very good at that sort of grown-up child. I think I have seen her in a number of roles where she has it's a similar character. It's not a stretch for her. She's not, stretching herself here, but she is actually good at it, so it doesn't really matter. She's doing what she's known for, I guess.
Yeah.
The other actors are all great. There's some really nice sort of things about actually none of that school shit matters. The typical things that you get from that sort of thing. What you expect. It's like, yeah, all that stuff's crap anyway. It doesn't really, none of that shit matters when you're older. And there's a character. So there's this house when she's still 17. She drives past this house, which is like the perfect house, and the woman who lives there was, she was she was a prom queen, and she was a cheerleader and all that sort of stuff. So she wants to be her, and she wants this house, and she plans on that. And then obviously when she's older, she meets that person, and I'm not gonna spoil who that person grows up to be, but there is a really good cameo of who that now.
I know who that person is because I actually follow that person on Instagram. But yes,
Really?
let's not spoil it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it. I mean, if you look it up, it's probably
Yeah.
It tells you anyway. But
I'm assuming it's them anyway. We can talk after.
It's a nice little cameo, and it's a again, it's one of those points where they go, like, yeah, my life didn't work out perfectly. It didn't.
Yeah.
That didn't happen for me. It is sweet. It's really it's not sort of it has lots of these like woke elements, but it's not taking the mick out of them in a bad way. It's just saying that, yeah, that works now. this is how it used to be.
Well, it's just
But
a fish out of water story,
there's
isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
that's
exactly. There are compromises to be made. There are still things that work. There are still things that don't work. It is really, I really enjoyed it. It's like I said, it's not a good movie, but it's a really enjoyable movie, and it is really fun.
yeah. Ah,
And
sounds good.
if you like that sort of that sort of teenage comedy thing, it works. I think it works. It's a good fun movie.
It sounds fun. I mean, I kind of like those kind of naff fish out of water
Yeah,
stories.
that's
So
why I watched it. I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. I could do with a laugh.
I'm down with it.
And luckily, it is actually funny. So, which always helps.
Mm. Well, I haven't finished it yet because it's about 1,000,000 years long, but I'm almost finished with what is available of Stranger Things season 4, which came to Netflix this week. The episodes are very long. Some of them going up to like an hour and 40 odd minutes. It's very long episodes.
Yeah,
So
it seems strange to me that they've done that.
I mean, I was watching it. I was like, wow, is this? You know when you're kind of like watching a show and you're not like necessarily always paying attention.
Yeah.
To where I was like, is this the same episode? And then I go to the thing and I'm like, yeah, this is the same. It's just still the same episode. It's like, okay, because I thought I might have looked at my phone at one point and just missed the end credits or something. You know?
Yeah.
So, oh no, this is still the same episode. Very long episodes. So obviously, Stranger Things has been going for a while now. In my opinion, the first series was great. And
yeah, this first season was fantastic.
Yeah, and it's been mostly diminishing returns since then, in my opinion. Well, I think season 3 might have been better than season 2. Although I will say, every season of Stranger Things, other than the first one, I start the new season having forgotten everything that happened in the previous season. Like it's like it goes in and out of my brain, and it's completely, the next time I come round is like I've never watched it. Yeah. I mean, they do the recap, which helps.
To be fair, I think even though they've, they've got progressively, well, not progressively worse, because like you said, I think 3 was better than 2.
I think it was. It's just they've never caught that. I'm not saying they're terrible. Just that they don't.
That's it. Even saying that they're actually still enjoyable.
Yes,
it's still an enjoyable show.
They are. It's still an enjoyable show.
There's a problem. I think they introduced way too many characters again.
Yes,
that they need to. I mean, even season 3, there was like. Certain characters had nothing to do and it's like, oh, I want to see more of that character. I like that character. Why?
Yeah.
Characters got sidelined for new characters that didn't actually bring an awful lot to the show. But that's an aside. So
you're going to be watching this, hopefully this weekend. Although now that I've told you how long the episodes are, you may struggle.
To watch this weekend.
So I figure I won't do any spoilers or anything. We can talk about it more at length when you've seen it, because by then I will have finished as well. There's only the first, I think, 7 or so episodes, and then there's 2 more episodes coming in July. And apparently those episodes are even longer. So apparently it's like a movie. It's like a movie every time you're watching an episode. What I will say, though, from what I've seen, and like I said, I haven't seen the last episode yet, I would say this series is really good. This series is it's like back to where I feel like the first series was. I personally, I've found it far better than the last 2 seasons. I think it feels like I guess they're coming to an end now, right? They've got 1 season left after this or something.
Yeah, certainly got another. They've got another season,
and they always,
haven't they?
These showrunners, they always say, "Hey, we've got a plan, we've got an arc," and a lot of the time they don't. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But they don't. They just make it up as they go along, and then hope.
When he says,
well, yeah. Most of the time, it's a con. They don't know how they're going to end it, and then they hastily chuck something together.
Unless they're J. Michael Straczynski, then don't believe.
Yeah, absolutely. But and I kind of felt that way with the last season or so of Stranger Things. It's felt a bit like they don't have much of a direction. They're just kind of, what's going on? What where is this going? Is it going anywhere? Is it just going to be, hey, we're back and there's another season and there's some bad thing, coming from the whatever it's called,
well,
the underneath or whatever it's called,
the upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
The other two seasons, a lot of it felt like it wasn't. It wasn't moving the story anywhere. It was just there.
No, absolutely. This season, though, really feels like things are progressing and we're going towards something. The whole show so far, I've been like, I feel like we're actually moving towards something. Obviously, we pick up with the characters of Stranger Things again. Obviously, 11 is moved away. She's living in, I think it's California. Pretending to her boyfriend Mike that everything's great, but in reality she's bullied at school. She's struggling with the loss of her powers because she lost her powers in the last season.
Mm-hmm.
Because
we believe that, don't we?
Well, it's not going to last.
No, of course not.
but it it's fine. And it's kind of interesting to put her in that situation outside of, because it's it's not like they don't throw. It's not like she's in situations with the evil creatures and she's defenseless. It doesn't really do that. It shows her trying to deal with the fact that she's not special anymore. She's just a bullied girl at school and she's got no powers or anything. I mean, there's a scene where she tries to use her powers on the bully that's bullying her, and obviously it doesn't work. She can't do anything. She's just human. So it's kind of interesting in that way. But yeah, obviously she's going to get her powers back. That's, I mean, I haven't, it's no doubt, is there? And meanwhile, Hopper is obviously in Russia now after the end of the last show. So we've got the character of Joyce teaming up with, I forget his name, and they head off to try and get Hopper back because Hopper manages to get a message to them. And then meanwhile, Mike goes to visit 11 in California, realizes that things aren't so great over there. And the rest of the gang are still back in the town where horrific things are happening, obviously. This season, because every season's had its hook, hasn't it? Yeah. Season 1 was D&D. Season 2, as I remember, was Ghostbusters.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and then season 3, I can't even remember. We've got a shopping mall.
Yeah, the shopping mall, and they had the premiere of Back to the Future.
There's a fucking, I remember because it fucking annoyed me. Oh yeah, there is a Back to the Future thing. Yeah, they also have a packed premiere screening of Day of the Dead, which fuck off. No one saw Day of the Dead. That I remember watching that and being like, what are you doing? It's like some idyllic. It's like it's such a, like, someone who wasn't around trying to pretend like, what I mean? It's like that film was not a critical success. It did not do well in the cinema. Anyway, this season's theme takes it back to the first season, which I liked. This season is the Satanic Panic.
Of course, yeah.
So that
was coming.
But it works, right? And I was like, "That's brilliant! Yeah. You're doing the Satanic Panic. D&D is a cult. It's they're summoning the demon. They're summoning the devil. And of course, the group there has got their D&D group, and they've got this older kid who is the DM. And a murder happens. And he's blamed for it.
See that awful Tom Hanks movie?
Mazes and Monsters.
Yeah.
Mazes and Monsters? Something like that.
I think that's what it's called. I can't remember.
Yes, I think it's Mazes and Monsters. It's a fucking hilarious film if you've never watched it.
It's terrible.
It's really bad. I think Tom Hanks wants to forget he was ever in that one.
It's really funny in a way that's it's not supposed to be.
It's like I watch it and I'm like, I should be offended, but it's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this, a murder happens, or demonic murder happens, and this kid is blamed for it. So they all know he's innocent. They know that D&D is not like that. So they're on a quest to find him and prove his innocence, while the jocks are after him, basically. Sorry?
and rehabilitate D&D.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're like, this. I think they're called the Hellfire Club or something like that.
Bloody hell! What a thing to call yourself?
Yeah. I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, so it's great so far. I've really enjoyed it. I think it like I said, it goes back to it takes me back to the first season. It feels more connected to the first season. It feels like we're going somewhere. It feels like things are wrapping up and there is going to be a conclusion here, and a satisfying one, from what I'm seeing so far.
I hope the actor that plays Will gets extra money for that haircut.
Yeah. Well, Will's interesting. Well, it's not a spoiler because I don't know, but I get the feeling that
he's still connected to it, isn't he? He's he's the thing in the first one where he got taken away, didn't he? And he's time and time again he's still doing things that prove he's connected some way to the Upside Down.
Yeah. But Will, and again, this kind of speaks to the series' strengths so far as well. We're catching up with these characters again, but they're not just the same fucking characters. Time has passed. Things are changing. For example, Will, they haven't said, but I get a very strong feeling that he's questioning his sexuality. And he's kind of struggling with that. You've got what's his name? Lucas in the show.
Yeah.
He's joined the basketball team. And he's been on the bench all this time. But he ends up being subbed for like a big game, and he ends up scoring the winning point. So he's like in with the jocks now. Right. So he's torn between the jocks and the D&D group, which he really loves, and of course they're kind of facing off against each other. So there's character development. It feels like they're not just resting on, hey, these are the same goofy characters again.
Well, that's really
it does feel like it's going somewhere, and we'll see. There's still plenty of time for them to ruin this, but so far I feel like this is the strongest season since the first, for me, anyway.
Oh, well, that's really good.
But we'll catch up in a couple of weeks' time when you've seen it, and I will have finished by then, because I've still got an episode to go. And by the way, an episode is like an hour and fucking 45 minutes or something. So I've got another movie's worth of Stranger Things to go before the end. But what I've seen so far, I'm really liking. I think is a stronger show than the last couple. Not that the last couple were terrible, like you said. I've enjoyed them.
I think there was a lot wrong with them. There was, but.
The one episode that sticks out in my mind that I hated was, I think it's in season 2, when they take that fucking road trip. And
I think I'm the only person who likes that episode.
I hated it.
I kind of liked it because I think it was showing others, I thought it was nice for Eleven to try and get out to see her other kids,
I will always remember that episode because I wanted to add a net to IMDb when we were producing the movie. It was towards the end of production, and it's such a pain in the ass to get a movie added to IMDb if you've never done it before. It's a job. And I remember that episode started and I was watching it, and about 20 minutes in I was like, this is going fucking nowhere. I'm just going to start doing this instead. And I managed to put I managed to get the movie up on IMDb during that episode because it was just a filler waste of time. It was awful.
I don't know why. I really enjoyed that episld.
And that's fair. Really each to their own.
I completely understand why nobody seems to like it but me. But I don't know.
Overall,
I really enjoyed that episode.
Overall, like you said, it's not a terrible show.
No.
And while I say things like, hey, it's been diminishing returns and it's for me it's not been as good, it's still been very entertaining.
Yeah.
But this season really feels like it's bringing its A game again. It feels like we're really going somewhere. Kids are growing up fast, so
yeah, well, they've got that. I mean, yeah, they've definitely got to get on with it, haven't they?
Well, I remember seeing Enola Holmes. And I was like, oh my god, Millie Bobby Brown is not looking like a child 11 anymore. This is going to be a problem, No,
they've all sort of sprouted up and altered, haven't they? So
So
You know,
I think it's fine. I mean, they're only doing one more season, I think.
mm,
Personally, I would love it. I mean, life doesn't work this way, and Hollywood doesn't work this way. But I always thought it'd be really cool if they decided to do an It, and they were like, "Hey, we're going to contract you now for like 10 years time.
that would be cool.
Have you come back as older? Because in like maybe even less than that. I mean, they're teens now, right? So you could even
Yeah.
do in 5 years time with a
Hmm.
bit of makeup, make them look older than they are. That would be really fun.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that, but I don't know whether they will.
Well,
Maybe
I mean,
they will down the road.
there's
But
always potential to do a sequel in years to come, anyway, isn't there? You know,
yeah, absolutely.
they're always doing that sort of thing at the moment. So
Yeah.
there's nothing that says they can't do it later, anyway. But yeah, I mean, what's his name? The guy who did the Boyhood. He was contracted for years,
Yeah.
and that movie took, what was it, 10, 15 years to
Something
do?
like that. It was a long time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
There's one, I can't remember who it is now. I know there's an actor that there's a vault somewhere that they filmed something, and then there's a vault that they've locked it away in, and they're not going to be filming more of it for like 20 years or something.
I know that, and I too cannot remember
I
what
can't
it
remember what it
is.
is. I remember reading it. It's not a Bruce Willis thing, is it?
I can't remember.
No, I can't remember who it is now, but yeah.
There's a great cameo in this as well.
Okay.
Don't know if it's going to be a cameo
I
or a longer.
Did hear something that there's a cameo and they look now the same that they looked then, but they
Yeah,
didn't
kind
know
of.
who it is. And I don't know. I don't know who the cameo is. So they did.
But yeah, so really
obviously.
enjoying what I've seen. We'll come back in a couple of weeks on this because by then probably enough time would have passed that we can talk a bit more spoilery, and obviously you will have seen it as well. But for now, from what I've seen, really strong return to form, or return back to the first season. So anyway, what else have you watched?
So I have also watched the third season of Love, Death and Robots.
Yes, tell us all about it.
So the previous seasons have been great. The first season was fantastic. Second season, not quite so good, but still good. So I don't think I knew this. Initially, this was actually going to be a heavy metal film. So
Really?
So Tim Miller and who was the other person? It was Tim Miller and I forget who it was now. Tim Miller they basically got the rights to sort of heavy metal, and they've been trying for like 10 years or something to get a heavy metal movie done, and the funding just kept falling through, or companies just weren't fucking interested. So they kept trying to push for it, and eventually they went, well, fuck it, let's just go to Netflix and they'll let us do whatever we want. So they went to Netflix, and Netflix said, okay, we're not interested in doing heavy metal, but we will give you a series if you want, which basically means you get to do the same sort of thing, but it's not an anthology movie, it's a series of different stories. And they went, well, fuck it, let's just do that then. So it started off as a heavy metal I guess sequel or reboot, or well, not even that, just a heavy metal movie, I guess, because I think there are 2 heavy metal movies.
Yes.
I think
I think the first one's the one.
The first one is fantastic.
I don't really remember much of the second.
No,
I know that the new Blu-ray release, the new 4K remaster of heavy metal is apparently fantastic, and also comes with heavy metal 2. But I don't really remember much of heavy metal 2.
No, I don't. I seem to remember.
Probably means it's a bit rubbish, to be honest.
Strains in it, but so the third season, we've got another episode with the 3 robots, which is really good, from the first season, which it's great. It's three of these robots in the first one. It's 3 robots going around a completely destroyed world, and like being tourists, finding all the stuff, and then eventually finding out that cats took over at some point when they got opposable thumbs.
Yeah.
This one is basically the different commenting on the different factions. So you've got they go to see the preppers, and then they go to see the oil rig where the tech millionaires ended up, and then they go to where the government locked themselves away and what
Right.
happened to them. And there is this, you do sort of get to a point where you're going, oh, this is a bit. Are you? But then they make this joke that you go, okay, no, fine, we're fine, we're okay. It's not that bad. They're not doing that, trying to push something on you thing. They are just making a joke of it. that one's not as good as the first one, but it is still funny. You've got a really cool one called Night of the Mini Dead, which is which is absolutely hilarious. It's all tiny. It looks like tiny little figures,
Right.
and it's a complete zombie apocalypse movie. In what I don't know how long it is. It's not very long. There's a running time on that. Oh, it doesn't have a running time on that one. It's fucking short anyway. But you literally get all of the tropes of zombie movies in one tiny little package, and it's just hilarious. There are little things like what sets off the zombie apocalypse is a couple having sex in a cemetery is what sets off this zombie apocalypse, and you get things like the president setting off nukes, and you get vehicles souped up with flamethrowers and stuff. All in this like very condensed little thing. It's really funny. It's brilliantly done. You've got Bad Traveling, which is a sort of steampunky, sort of ocean-going tale of this crew basically getting taken over by this crab monster and told to go to this island where take me to this island where like basically they've got a huge population of people, and it's what they do. You've got some nice little weird ones like the Pulse of the Machine, which is a slightly more philosophical, I guess. You've got a sort of a Cthulhu-y one called In the Vaulted Halls Entombed, which was I don't like the uber realistic animated ones. The sort of the really sort of the CG ones. And it's not that I don't like them. I just don't enjoy them as much. I quite like the sort of the quirkier animation ones, the ones that sort of bring something interesting to what they're showing you.
Yeah.
Although having said that, there's one called Jabaro, which is that's realistic animation. It's realistic CG, and it's about it's a group of it's what looks like conquistadors. In I guess it doesn't say what it is, but it looks like they're in like South America or something.
Okay.
And they come across a siren, and the main one of the main ones is death. So while this siren is dancing and screaming and singing to these people, and they're all going mental and killing each other and jumping around like lunatics, he can't hear her, so he's not affected.
Right.
And it's beautifully choreographed dance sort of moves and stuff. It's really beautiful. I absolutely love that one. It's really nice.
Is the siren the one emerging from the lake in the
yes,
trailer?
with all the gold on her.
Looks and it's an incredible shot. That.
Yeah, it is. It's really beautiful. So, like I said, having said, I'm not as big on the more hyper realistic animation. That one is such a good episode that it's so beautifully done.
Yeah.
You've got another sort of one called Kill Team, which is about a group of sort of they're basically it's like a group of 80s movie heroes, sort of military unit who are going into this sort of enemy territory where they get attacked by this massive cyber bear,
Right.
and it is so puerile and so silly and over the top and gory, but it is really hilarious. It's really good, and that's got like Joel McHale and Seth Green voices in that one. I think overall this season is a lot better than season 2, and almost on a par with season 1. I would definitely recommend it because I mean, I don't think any of them are more than half an hour long, if that. I think most of them are between sort of 10 and 20 minutes long, and they are, like I said, they're all different. It's all different sort of sci-fi stuff or horror in Finch things, and it does feel, now it's been said, it does feel like all of these things could have appeared in Heavy Metal magazine.
Yeah.
Back in the day. There's there are episodes that look like they could have done by Moebius or someone like that. I would highly recommend them. There's kind of something for everybody. I think there are little jokey ones like Mason's Rats, which is set in what I think it's a Scottish farmer who is he's voiced by Craig Ferguson, and his barn is being taken over by rats that have evolved.
Right.
And he's basically hires this company. It's like Nigel, who's always voiced by Dan Stevens, who has this company that sends like robot exterminator machines with lasers and cannons and all that sort of stuff to go and kill these rats, and you get this little war going on in the barn. Again, hilarious, really brilliant, great animation. Yeah, I'm completely smitten with this series, and I think it's.
Yeah, you've been a fan from the off with this series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it completely makes sense that it was supposed to be a heavy metal thing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of episodes that aren't as good as others. There are some genuinely beautiful episodes, like in the first season, you've got I think it's called Blue Zima Blue. It's called. I love that one. That's about it's like set in the far future, and it's about an artist who this famous artist who's going to unveil his last artwork, and it's really interesting. I would recommend that one if you're at all into like really good sci-fi stories. And the second season has one called The Drowned Giant, which I know I reviewed these before, but the Drowned Giant is a J.G. Ballard story. So they've got real big names that have stories that they've used in this series. Yeah, it's great. It's really fun. It's like I said, they go from true horrific to just out and out funny.
Yeah.
This third season again is really brilliant, really good. Can't recommend it enough.
Wow. Cool. And then finally, I think you have one more show. You've been doing a lot of TV. You didn't do many movies, but you did a lot of TV. So.
Yes, I've done quite a bit of TV.
So another show you've been praising.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure I reviewed the first season of this as well.
Oh, you did. Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So this is season 2 of Raised by Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
So this picks up from. So quick recap of the first season. The first season basically it's set in the far future. It's produced by Ridley Scott. It's so in the far future, they're basically on Earth. There were two factions: the Mithraics, who were religious, and the atheists. And the Mithraics have these robots that basically they're called necromancers, and they sort of float around, and they're really fucking scary, and they can sort of exterminate people really easily. And the other faction, the atheists, they've kind of almost been wiped out. But they've basically at some point they've received this signal from this other planet, and they are going to go and colonize it. They're going to go to this planet and um, I can't remember the name of the guy. This other guy. He took two of the robots. One of the necromancers. He's got one of these necromancers, and he reprogrammed them. And he gave them embryos to take to this planet and bring up these children without religion. He made so that these robots would protect these children. So you've got mother and father. Mother played by Amanda Collin, and father played by Abu Bakar Salim. So they're great. Those two characters are fucking fantastic. She's a necromancer, so she has the power to like obliterate people. She's really, really powerful,
Right.
but she's been programmed to protect these children. And while they're on this planet, when they initially get to this planet, it's pretty desolate. There's like nothing living there. The bit that they end up on, there's nothing really living there. There are these giant snake skulls that are littered around the place that they find, and you've got father who he's I think he's like a almost like a household robot, and he's more nurturing than mother is. He makes dad jokes, and he's really sweet, and mother is a little more stern and things like that. And you know, most of the kids in the first season, most of the children die, and there's only one that really survives called Campion that sort of survives. And meanwhile, you've got Marcus and Sue, who you find out are atheists that pretended that they surgically alter themselves to become Mithraics,
Right.
and they get to the planet in a different measure. And then Marcus, played by Travis Fimmel, who he starts hearing this voice, who he thinks is this god, and you find out lots of things about this planet that, well, I mean, doesn't tell you a lot actually. It just tells you that you do find out that the robots were created from the signal that was received from this planet.
Okay.
So at the end of season 1, Mother had given birth to this snake-like creature. She'd been in contact with this voice in this simulation, and it had kind of impregnated her with this, what turns out to be a snake. And at the end of the last season, the characters are scattered, and you're not sure if mother and father survived. I will tell you, the second season, they do survive.
Yeah.
In season 2, you get they've come across this ship full of Mithraics that have they settled in another part of this world, which is slightly more inhabitable. It's got more sort of vegetation and stuff, and it's just slightly better than where they were living. And they are sort of controlled by this computer, and it talks to mother, and mother sort of it kind of welcomes mother in, and she then regroups the children that she has acquired from the other this faction, and they've got this fucking huge floating snake that they've kept. They realize that this snake isn't dangerous. It's well, actually, you find that in the zoo, but first of all, they think it's dangerous, and it's not. They think it's attacking the sort of villagers, but it's not. It only eats fruit, but it seems to be.
Right.
And it's kind of so complicated to try and explain everything, and I'm not going to. All I'll say is the first season dipped a little in the middle, and I sort of got to the point where I was like, if this series doesn't get somewhere soon, I'm going to jack it in. But it did. Thankfully, it picked up, and it got really good. This second season is really fucking good. It doesn't explain too much, but it does. Things do start falling into place about this world and what's going on. And father finds this almost like a it's a relic. It's a completely almost destroyed body of an ancient robot that he reinvigorates. He repairs it. It sort of, well, it kind of repairs itself, but he helps it repair itself. And what happens with that robot? And you've had flashes of certain things that happened on this planet before. You get there are these giant sort of dodecahedron types sort of sculptures everywhere, and there are these little boxes that contain things.
Right.
And it's, like I said, I can't go into too much without giving things away.
No, that's fair enough.
But it's really good. Some of the kid actors can be annoying, but they're actually pretty good. But the main two, Amanda Collins as mother and Salim as father, are so good. Their relationship is brilliant, and it's a sort of strange relationship as well, because mother has been doing things that kind of should be going against her programming for the protection of her kids. She still sees it as protecting her kids, but she's sort of been doing things that father doesn't agree with, and father again is so sweet and so brilliant. I'd have loved to have seen this actor play the Doctor. He would I think, made a really good Doctor. He's the
maybe he will in the future. You never know.
He could be. He's the. I only found out recently that he's the voice of Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origin.
Oh, okay.
So I actually really like that character. It's the last. I think it's the last sort of Assassin's Creed game that I probably got into.
I've not played it. I was actually said on the last Icons episode. I picked up Valhalla because it was going cheap. But before that, the last one I played was Black Flag.
Right.
And then before that was probably the second one. Like I got kind of bored with the formula. But so I don't think Origin. I don't think I played Origins. So
it moved further and further away from what they were. So it's but. I liked Origin mainly because I quite like Egyptian stuff. So
that's the Egyptian one. So I said during that episode, I was like, I was kind of tempted to pick up the Egyptian one, but I didn't. So that was the only one that really kind of got my interest. Actually,
I really enjoyed that one actually, and I really liked Bayek. I thought he was
right.
Great character,
and he does the voice.
Yes, he's the voice. I genuinely think this is the best sci-fi series around at the moment.
Well, that's high praise.
Yeah, I think it feels really good.
Have you not seen Star Trek Discovery?
Yeah, I have.
No, you haven't. Not for a while. You've been sensible.
No, I have not. I've not touched it since the first season, and I'm not fucking going to either.
No.
None of that. To me, none of that shit is Star Trek, so it doesn't matter. It's all its own universe. It's a universe that I have no interest in.
Sure.
But I think there's a lot of comparisons to Prometheus.
Yeah, I mean that's going to happen when you've got that executive producer and like some of the visuals definitely from
and I
stills
will say there's a lot of evolving and de-evolving of humans in this, so it does make sense. It's
almost like he probably should have made this series rather than bothering with his Alien prequels.
Yeah,
done something
does
original.
Feel like that. It completely feels like that. It's really enjoyable. It's proper sci-fi. It's got some. I mean, I'm not saying it's like really hard sciencey stuff. It's
accessible,
but it's really nice sci-fi. It's really well done. I really loved the second. I like the first season. I love the second season. It's moving the story really nicely along. And I'm not sure it's actually been picked up for a third season yet. I think it might still be up in the air.
Oh, that's a shame.
But I'm hoping it gets a third season because it totally fucking deserves it. Like I said, I think it's the best sci-fi show around at the moment.
Well, high praise indeed. Well, that's it. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Lots of people have died.
Yeah.
So we want to end on a downer. That's
well,
something
we can go with that, but there's other things to discuss. So we'll hopefully not quite as a downer.
All right. You can pull this ship back up afterwards.
Yeah, let's hope. So we'll start with Fred Ward, who was 79. What what a great actor, great,
Absolutely.
a really good resume. I mean, I will always treasure Tremors. Tremors is one of my genuinely favorite.
I said when the news broke, I actually messaged a friend of mine, and I did say I was always secretly hoping that there would be a new Tremors movie with him
Yeah,
reprising, because he was probably my favorite character of Tremors, actually. I
I
really
I
liked
love
his character.
his character and Bacon's character.
Well, they just
so
bounce
good.
so well off each
That-
other, and
exactly.
you know,
They
yeah.
are so perfect together that's they're kind of the driving force behind that movie.
I think the thing that shocked me the most is I never knew he was that old. Like,
No, I didn't either. Actually, I didn't.
he's
think
just got one of those looks that just kind of, you know, somehow.
Yeah, he. I guess I've never seen him looking young, even though I've seen him.
That's the thing, though. People like that. It's like Alice Cooper. It's like he was born looking fucking 70, and he's stayed looking 70 ever since. You know, he's just
yeah. He's definitely got that sort of thing about him. And like I said, there's some, he was in some great bloody movies.
Oh, he really was.
I mean, weird movies like Remo Williams, who was just kind of like a failed pilot for sort of things. The Right Stuff was a great movie, and he was in, The Player and Shortcuts and
Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah, and there's a one that you can't get hold of it. I couldn't get hold of it. I looked on Amazon for it, and it's not on Amazon, but it's on YouTube. It's a really awful copy, but it is on YouTube, and it's called Cast a Deadly Spell.
Okay.
And it's a 40 set Cthulhu story.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, he's a detective. He plays the hard-boiled detective. In this world, everybody uses magic but him. He refuses to use magic, and it's got Clancy Brown in it. It's got Julianne Moore and what's his name? Oh god, English actor, fucking brilliant English actor, played Chancellor Gorkon.
Oh my god, country. He bloody died recently as well. Fuck.
Oh fuck me, I cannot remember his name. Anyway, he's in it as well. It's not the greatest movie, but it's real fun.
And it's his name.
It's
Warner, David Warner.
David Warner, thank you. David Warner's in it.
Fantastic actor.
It's a really nice 40 set Cthulhu movie, and there's a sequel to it as well. But the Harvey Keitel plays the character in the sequel.
Oh, really?
And they were made for TV. I think they were made for HBO for TV movies in the 90s.
Oh.
So they're really odd, and he's really good in it. He's plays a proper sort of Sam Spady type character in it, and he's really good in it. I really enjoy it. Like I say, I couldn't find it on Amazon, but it is on there's a really bad copy on YouTube.
I might check it out. It
is watchable.
Yeah.
So yeah, really great actor. Second, Vangelis.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, what can you say?
Fucking again, genius. 79. I mean,
79 as well.
Genius is what I would say.
Yeah, I mean, the Blade Runner soundtrack is, if not my favourite, one of my favourite fucking soundtracks.
But even his score for stuff like Chariots of Fire and things like that. So the guy is just
yeah, amazing. I didn't even realise that he was in a band with Demis Roussos.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. Aphrodite's Child, they were called.
That's a cool name as well.
And he started off as in a band that basically covered Beatles songs.
Huh.
Yeah, he is an absolutely amazing career of Conquest of 1492, Conquest of Paradise. That another iconic soundtrack. Wonderful musician and scorer. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And finally,
Ray Liotta.
Liotta
Yeah.
was 16 at 7.
Who I always said I think he was an actor who was extremely talented and deserved better, bigger roles than he got, I think. I don't know what he was like to work with, or whether he chose not to do things.
Lovely.
Yeah,
I think he was lovely.
But I mean, he
got typecast in such, because I think he had such an intense look about him.
Yeah,
and he played quite intense characters.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think people couldn't see him as anything else. So I think he got kind of pigeonholed, and that's not to say that he didn't. He was actually in the middle of filming at the time of his death.
Yeah, now I don't know if he actually collapsed on set, but he was filming something.
He died in his sleep.
Okay.
All they've said so far is that he died in his sleep while he was.
But I really liked Ray Liotta as an actor. I think he's fantastic. I mean, even you've got big films like Goodfellas, films like Narc. And even the lower budget thing, I really liked No Escape. Great movie.
Yes, I love No Escape. Oh man, that's a movie I haven't seen.
I haven't seen it for years, but as soon as he died, I was like, that reminds me, I must rewatch that movie.
And he's not in it like a lot, but he's fantastic in Copland.
Yes, he is fantastic in Copland.
Copland is a movie that nobody brings up. But
that movie is fantastic.
Tremendous movie.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, genuinely one of Stallone's best performances.
It's up there for sure.
He put his whole heart and soul into that movie,
and his body.
And
I mean, he really, for someone who is, I don't want to turn this into a Stallone talk, but for someone that was known for the body to decide to put on that much weight and kind of change everything, fantastic performance. But yeah, Ray Liotta's fantastic in Copland.
And there's one Ray Liotta movie that I have a genuine soft spot for.
Oh, go on.
It was one of my sister's favorite movies, and that's Karina.
I've not seen it.
Oh, is it 50 set? It's basically he plays the dad of this little girl. I think his wife dies, and they hire a sort of nanny come housekeeper, played by Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, cool!
And it's so sweet. It's a. I mean, I haven't seen it for years, and it might be, for all I know, it might be problematic these days. But I remember loving that movie. Like I said, it was one of my sister's favorite movies. It was really sweet, and he's really good as the dad who's struggling to sort of keep his struggling with a daughter in 50s America. I really like that movie. I think it's a really sweet little movie, and he was great in it.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can track it down.
So yeah, again, really a fucking awesome actor.
Absolutely.
So let's do a few little bits and pieces that I've found. Neil Blomkamp has apparently signed on to do an adaptation of Gran Turismo.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking, how does that work? Isn't Gran Turismo just racing?
Yeah, I mean,
it's been a long time since I've played a Gran Turismo game, but
I don't think they've changed that much.
No, I don't remember there being any stories.
Such a plot.
Characters.
I must play Gran Turismo 5 for the plot. Yeah, I don't know. I always find it weird when they do movies like this. I mean, even it was not a good movie.
Movie coming along as well, isn't there? So we've got a Hot Wheels movie coming up as well. So
yeah. Again, those kind of things, you're like, well, I don't really, because even not a good movie, but Need for Speed. You're like, well, I can see there's vaguely a plot there, at least to work with. Your illegal street racing and stuff has been done before, but there is a plot. But Gran Turismo, to my knowledge, is just licensed cars and you race them around a track. I guess you could do Days of Thunder, but
do anything with it?
Yeah, I don't know. But
Blomkamp's
not known to just kind of, I don't know. It's very out of left field for him. Sure, I mean, whatever. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
great director. So
that's what I was thinking. I think when you sort of go,
I'm like vaguely interested
to it. Yeah. Exactly, that's it. So you go, well, Blomkamp's a attached to it, then it might turn out to be interesting.
Yeah,
I mean, he's pretty creative, so
he's very creative. Yeah,
I'm sure he can do something interesting.
and
with
it'll
it.
look great. So
Yeah, it will look fantastic. In an odd one, we were talking about remakes of what properties can you pick up.
Yeah.
A TV property that's being picked up with Ryan Gosling is the Fall Guy.
That is great casting.
Yeah,
I mean, love the Fall Guy.
He's played a stuntman come.
Well, yes, he has, obviously, yeah.
But
I used to love the Fall Guy.
I love the
show.
Fall Guy as a kid. You know, Lee Majors playing the Colt Seavers, the stuntman turned bounty hunter to make ends meet. I love that. I mean, I expect if I watched it now.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's not terrible, but it was great.
A-team levels of bad, but I'm sure you would get some enjoyment out of it. Yeah,
I'm kind of sold on that.
Yeah,
I'm down with that.
I think Ryan Gosling can do those really good action roles.
He can.
He looked great driving. So
yeah,
I think I'm on board with that. I think that I could see that working. There is a new version of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen being picked up.
Well, let's hope they do a good job this time.
So the alarm bells that ring for me is that it's gonna be Disney.
Well, I have something positive to say in a bit.
Okay.
It might amaze you. But yeah, okay. That's generally a warning, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be Hulu, but I think it was certainly going to be on Disney Plus for over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I actually do like the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen movie. It's not very good. It killed Sean Connery's career. And it's nothing like the comics. I mean, the comics are fucking amazing. I love those comics. Yeah. But I do kind of enjoy that movie. It is, like I said, it is rubbish.
Well, it's like Van Helsing,
Van Helsing is terrible.
It's that kind of movie. It's terrible, but if it was like on TV or something, I'd be like, oh, yeah, exactly. I'm probably down with that. It's crap, but
there are nice things in it that I quite enjoy, and
yeah,
that movie's got some nice stuff in it.
It's got some cool designs.
Yeah. I mean,
that fucking car is amazing.
I didn't quite understand why the car and the submarine look more Art Deco than.
I kind of liked it though, it's kind of cool.
I mean, the one of the funniest things for me is the fact that the Nautilus keeps changing size. They can't seem to decide how big it is.
It's amazing how often that happens in things, though. I mean,
there are scenes when it's pulling into Venice. And it's ginormous.
Yep.
And then you see it again when they're on the ocean and they're in the tower, and it's like that doesn't look that big.
Now they have fixed it in subsequent films, but Gareth Edwards' Godzilla's size is all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
From scene to scene, depending on what visual they wanted, the size is dramatically different.
Yeah,
so it happens a lot, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is more noticeable with a vehicle because you're like, windows are your giveaway. This is where new Star Trek really fucks up. Is like they redesign the Enterprise and stuff, the Enterprise A, and you're like, but those are windows. The windows give it scale, so now the whole thing's knackered.
I've not watched it, but I've seen.
I saw the Enterprise I did watch Discovery season 2. I was still bearing with it at that point. So.
The one that gets me, I've seen clips of the new show that's with Pike and that.
Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds. The captain's quarters are fucking huge. Crewman's quarters are massive. It's like, how? Why have they got?
You realise that the
crewmen shared quarters on the Enterprise.
Well, and the old Constitution is tiny compared to new ships, like the like Enterprise E or something. It's dwarfs it.
Kirk's quarters in the captain's quarters in the original series are what probably the size of my kitchen. I mean,
Yeah.
they're not very big, and that's the captain's
Well,
quarters.
I mean, the whole thing had a submarine-y feel. You know?
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, the quarters that Anson Mount's got in that, it's got like a bar, and it's got
Oh,
a fire.
really? Okay.
It's got a bar. It's got a fireplace.
He's got Kirk's San Francisco penthouse.
Yeah, pretty much.
On
Yeah,
next to the
it's
bridge.
ridiculous. The size in that is laughable. Anyway, I'm up for a reboot of.
Yeah, I'm up for a reboot of that.
If they go back to the comics and make it as the comics
Intended.
were, intended. It, like I said, it does. Alarm bells are slightly ringing that Disney's involved.
Well,
but okay.
I'm gonna say this, and it's so rare that I ever say anything positive about Disney these days.
Yeah.
But I saw the trailer for Willow the other day, and I liked it.
I saw it. Do you know what?
I liked it. I was like, this looks great.
I wasn't sure.
I like
it. I thought, okay, he looks great. I thought he looked fantastic. I could see the potential for.
Yes, I could see the potential for them messing this up, but.
Yeah, I could see the potential for the Lucification of Willow. You know what I mean? But I didn't dislike it.
No, I thought it looked great. I'm
I mean, it looked.
I'm on board.
The thing is, I've heard people say, "Oh, it looked too much like it's Lord of the Rings or something," and I'm thinking, and it's like, Willow.
It looks like Willow with a bigger budget.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think Willow didn't look like that. It's like, yeah, but Willow didn't have a huge fucking budget.
No.
I think if the people...
And it wasn't made in 2020.
Exactly. If the people making Willow had those resources that they have now...
Absolutely.
They would have, I think they would have done that to Willow. They would have
100%.
made... they would have made Jean Marsh have a proper full-on city to exist.
Yeah, of course they would have.
Of course they would. I actually agree with you. It didn't...
it passed me by completely. I came across it on YouTube by accident about 2 days after.
I saw this funny little trailer of Warwick Davis interviewing the other cast members.
Cool.
Saying,
he seems like the nicest guy, Warwick Davis.
Yeah, he does. It's actually quite funny because it's him being self-deprecating again. Well, not self-deprecating, but basically playing on the fact that he's a star and hey, me, and they're like, yeah, no, we don't know who you are, sort of thing. It was quite funny. So I did know it was coming. But yeah, I thought the trailer was okay actually.
Fun.
Like I said, I'm cautiously optimistic.
Sure. You can put me in that camp too.
Because that's all you can be, really.
Especially with Disney. Their track record recently has not been good.
I don't want to be the person that jumps on it and wants to kill it.
No, it's got potential. It could be good.
I want a Willow movie to be good. And fucking Joanne Whalley still looks fantastic.
Yes.
I'm so happy to see Joanne Whalley in it.
I'm really hoping they get Val somehow in there. I don't know how. But it would be nice.
They could. I mean, as somebody said, I mean, I still haven't seen the Val documentary. I've got it.
Me either. I really want to.
Yeah, I've got it ready to go. But his son voices that documentary, and he fucking sounds just like him.
Okay.
So if they could just get his son to dub him, I'm sure that would work.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the idea of that. What else was there? Oh, I did see. So Christopher Walken has been cast as the Emperor, Shaddam IV, in June.
That is fantastic.
Which is like, wow! I would never have.
It works though when I think about it.
That, but I think, I could see him as the Emperor.
That's cool.
That works for me. I think that's pretty much it for.
Well, you did manage to pull this back into a positive. Well done. Well, what are we watching next time, Matt? What are we reviewing next week?
I was thinking of for probably something more actiony, maybe, but having discussed it and having discussed his death, why don't we do Tremors?
All right, I'm down with Tremors.
Yeah, let's do Tremors then.
Yeah, let's get any excuse to rewatch Tremors. That's fun.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, we never give ourselves terrible movies. It's always quite a positive.
Exactly.
But,
we haven't terrible movie yet.
No. But yeah, cool. Yep, sounds good to me. So we will be back next week with our in-depth review discussion of Tremors. But until then, stay safe, take care, and we will catch you next time.